Zero with your VSiN action update on 1010 XL.
Let's go into the night with Rick Ballou on 1010 XL 92.5 FM.
Sugar Bowl, a low-scoring affair. Both offenses struggling. Fumble! Notre Dame, a takeaway machine. They have forced 3 fumbles. They have returned 2 early on. The latest led to the only touchdown in this game, and it happened with 13 seconds remaining. So, with 30 minutes to play, Notre Dame 13, Georgia 3. From New Orleans, obviously the tragedy that took place, just horrifying in the early morning hours of New Year's Day. As a matter of fact, our good friend Rafael Esparza of mybookie.org is at the Sugar Bowl, and he's going to check in with us coming up in about 40 minutes. So we'll be probably midway through the third quarter when we do hear from Rafael, who's typically in Las Vegas, but also does a lot of work out of the casinos in New Orleans, and we'll check in with him. He was there for the turn of the calendar and the horrific set of circumstances. I know it's made things inconvenient for a lot of people, but, I mean, that's nothing compared to the lives that were lost. This is such a sickening stage of events. I'm guessing that most of you have been to Bourbon Street, right? You've been there for a big-time college football game, whether it was a national championship, whether it was a Sugar Bowl. Heck, the first time I ever went, I want to say it was the fall of 80. Actually, it was the second time that I went. I want to say it was the fall of 88 when Florida State had a regular season game there against Tulane. Sammy Smith ran for like 200-plus yards, and they'd go to Mardi Gras in that month of March. Prior to that, and the first Super Bowl I ever went to was in '96, Green Bay over New England. I've been to national championship games there, Sugar Bowls there, Mardi Gras there, 4 or 5 Jacksonville Jaguars games there. It's a good time. You know, it's debauchery. It's almost like you're in a different country because what you're allowed to do on Bourbon Street is what you're not allowed to do in a lot of places in the United States of America. It's just people having a great time, drinking cocktails, doing whatever it is, throwing out beads, doing whatever it takes to get those beads. But it's about a happy time. And, boy, I just feel terrible. I know you do as well. It's not the way we wanted to start the year. And so they pushed back the game. We thought it would be played tomorrow night, part of that threesome on New Year's Day. And then they announced it would begin today at 4 o'clock. I was thinking to be on at 8, but we have the Gator Bowl that has now been pushed back to 8 o'clock. So there have been some changes, but it's nothing compared to the loss of life and just an awful set of circumstances. So feel awful that our year began with such a tragedy. To the game, Notre Dame and Georgia. The difference in this one, Georgia not being able to hang on to the football. 3 fumbles, 1 rolled out of bounds with Connor Stockton. Then he had Trevor Etienne. Georgia put together a 13-play, 71-yard drive, and then he coughed it up on a 3rd and 1. They took 8 minutes and 4 seconds off the clock. Then after a second field goal by Notre Dame, deep into the second quarter, with less than 30 seconds to go, another fumble by Gunnar Stockton. Notre Dame, 1 play later, took it in for a touchdown. So that is where we are, 13-3, the Fighting Irish against Georgia. And what has been really intriguing about this, and we had conversations about it not this past year, but a year ago in Major League Baseball. Do you remember after the 2023 season the best teams who all got buys, who all won around 100 games, all lost as soon as they came back and played. And it's created kind of a conversation as to where we are now in playoff talks. And in this case, we've gone from 4 teams who get a bye in the NFL to 2 teams that get a bye in the NFL. We know that changes are coming because everyone has been discussing it as far as the seeding process with the college football playoff. Should it still go to the top 4 overall highest-ranked conference teams? Quick break here. Notre Dame has just taken the opening kickoff back to begin the third quarter. It is now 19-3. Notre Dame looks like a 99-yard kickoff return for the Fighting Irish, the PAT notwithstanding. We'll keep you updated on that. But the beauty of what we're doing over the next couple of hours among our college football talk, as well as the very latest involved with the Jacksonville Jaguars, is we will keep you updated on this football game. But the whole bye process, that's what you want, right? You want to go from 12 to 8 without playing a game. And then the last couple of days, we have moved from 8 to 4, which, of course, will be played next weekend. The PAT for Notre Dame is good. They go up 20-3 over Georgia. Again, 14:45 to go in the third quarter. But look at the teams here who got the bye. Georgia, they got a bye. They're down 23. Notre Dame played a football game, as we know, last week, a very physical game, and outperformed Indiana at home. Boise State, right? They were down 14-0 in the first quarter to Penn State, right? Penn State, coming off of their victory against SMU, was forced to play football in the opening round. Boise State became the recipient of a bye. They started extremely slowly. If there's one thing this listening audience knows about, it's starting slowly, for crying out loud. You're Jaguar fans. I mean, the Jaguars, every single game, come out in a coma. And they cannot do anything offensively Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after. I mean, every single Sunday, the Jaguars can't do anything offensively when the game does begin. So we're seeing this now trickle down in the world of college football. Texas, right? Arizona State, a furious comeback. But what about them turning the ball over on downs early in that football game? Before you really settled in yesterday afternoon, Texas had a 17-3 lead in the second quarter against Arizona State. Another example of them not being ready, not being prepared. Much more rust was a factor than the benefit of rest. And then finally, Ohio State against number 1 Oregon. Man, it was 34-0 before we even knew what to believe in that contest. So if you look at the 4 teams with a bye, 0 points in the first quarter for Arizona State. That went into the second quarter where they added a field goal. 0 points for Boise State in the first quarter against Penn State. 0 points for Oregon deep into the second quarter against Ohio State. And here we are now underway with the Sugar Bowl. Not even a minute into the third quarter. And Notre Dame has scored 2 touchdowns in less than 1 minute, one late in the second quarter after the fumble. Now they take back the opening kickoff to begin the third quarter. Georgia has only been able to score 3 points so far in this game. I don't know if that is going to change. Complainers will say, forget about the bye. Give us just an 8-team college football playoff. 12 didn't work. It was chalk, right? All of these games were 10 points or more. I go the other way with it. If you want to do that, these bowl games are meaningless. Give us 16. Are you going to have 8 blowouts? Are you going to have 8 of the higher-ranked teams, the teams who are supposed to win, do that? Maybe. Okay. And they've earned that right. They're the higher seed. They're the favored team. If they win, fine. I haven't heard any of that talk. I'm starting to get already less is more as far as games that'll be played. I just can't believe you want less football. I mean, no one had an issue with extra wild card games in the AFC and NFC. When they went from 4 byes to 2 byes, did you hear a complaint from anyone? No, it's like, we get extra football games. It's the NFL. Let's settle in. Everyone loves it. Yet for some reason in college football, so many of you are like, I don't even want this 12-team college football playoff. You know, it's not exciting to me. Leave it the way it was. And like the way it was, I mean, who cares about these other bowl games? The only people who do are degenerate gamblers, or if you really settle in to watch your alma mater play a college football game. It's just amazing the way things have gone. So anyway, it's made for a entertaining couple of days. Much like yourself, I do wish some of these games were better. I'm surprised by some of it. I really thought Oregon, even though I did pick Ohio State, because I think it's tough to win a rematch in college football. It's really unlike the NFL, where you get it for a lot of cases twice a year if you're within a division, and then in certain situations, you will play the same club 3 times a year. It's very rare to play each other twice in college football. Now, Georgia's done it, right? They beat Texas twice. They may face them a 3rd time. They got to get things going here in the Sugar Bowl. Oregon and Ohio State split. I remember LSU and Alabama certainly playing in a rematch, that very low-scoring national championship game a few years back. You can go to 1996, the rematch between Florida State and Florida, a game, in my opinion, that never should have been played. But that was the BCS, and there was no way out of it. I mean, Arizona State was undefeated. Should have been Florida State, Arizona State, right? But Arizona State was locked into the Fiesta Bowl. And they've tried to make changes to prevent that. You're going to get more of it now with 12 teams. But it's always been hard in the world of college football to knock off teams twice. Compared to the NFL, it happens all the time. And look at the New England Patriots and their dominance. It was always Buffalo, the second-best team. Or for most, and New England owned them. I want to say Tom Brady was like, 21-3 or 22-2 or whatever. It was just ridiculous. And I hate to bring it up, but we all remember what happened in 99-2000 when the Jaguars, their only 3 losses all year was to Tennessee. 2 in the regular season, and then, of course, the difficult loss in the AFC Championship game. All right, opening comments tonight and every night brought to you by the good folks over at Shmunez Vision. And tell you what, they're really fired up about a 2025. Dr. John Hunt joins the practice, along with Dr. Shmunez, that is Dr. Neil, Dr. Catherine Shmunez. I always talk about wants and needs. Wants should be great eyes, right? 20/20 for the rest of your days. How about laser eye surgery? More than 30 years worth of experience. Needs. If you have a problem, including a cataract issue, make an appointment today at Shmunez Vision. Plenty of experience there for you to answer all your questions, because I know it's uncomfortable when you're told that you need surgery on your eyes. Just check them out online. Go to Shmunez Vision, or you can go to Instagram and get all of the testimonials as well at Shmunez Vision. All right, when we come back, we'll check in with our buddy Dylan Denmark. We'll give you an update from the Sugar Bowl, where right now it is 20-3. Notre Dame over Georgia. Greg Huntington, some Jaguar talk coming up a little bit later on. He'll join us in studio, and we'll also go live to New Orleans in 20 minutes. Talk to our good buddy Rafael Esparza.
These are interesting economic times. That's why it's so important to have someone you can count on. That's ITP Partners. Jacksonville folks taking care of our Jacksonville money. Experience? You best believe you want to give your hard-earned money to folks you trust. Jeff Hartman, Chris Bryan, Dan Abel, Reed Wingate, Scott Regner, Janice Cobb, and Reagan Wright have the expertise and knowledge to help clients in their financial lives, focusing on investment management, financial planning, and risk management. ITP Partners. Financial partners for life. Securities offered through American Portfolios Financial Services, Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. SIPC.
No two people learn the exact same way. So how did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you, all of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos.
Today I'll share a quick lesson on shopping in French.
Merci beaucoup. Keith is a be in the room with real people kind of learner. So he loves the live online classes with our language experts.
Okay, class. Vos está pronto.
Estamos prontos.
However you learn, Babbel makes it easy. Try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
Everybody, Mike Dempsey here. Listen, I'm all about a sure thing. I like putting my money down knowing I'm going to win, and that's exactly what Awaken 180 was for me, a sure bet. I dropped 25 pounds in just over a month, and let me tell you, the results speak for themselves. Now, imagine this. You start Awaken 180 now, and when February rolls around, you've already lost 20 pounds. Or maybe you're like Matt Hayes, down 40 pounds by March. And don't even get me started on Hacker. Dude's lost over 100 pounds. Life-changing results, and I got to see it firsthand. Awaken 180 isn't some gimmick. You eat, you're never starving, and the weight just comes off fast. No guesswork, no crash diets, just a plan that works. And the best part, it's built to last thanks to free support for life. Don't wait for another failed resolution. Start your new year with the program that is the sure bet. Visit awaken180weightloss.com or call 844-346-1800. Make sure this year is the year you win big with Awaken 180.
Don't ignore plumbing leaks. They can lead to mold and mildew or structural damage and drain your wallet. So when you have a leak and can't wait a week, call Roland Reich Plumbing. PlumbingJacksonville.com.
Frank Frangie here, and I can't say enough good things about the team at Sunshine Turf and the work they've done for us. Let Sunshine Turf transform your backyard into a low-maintenance oasis that will be green all year long with artificial turf. Caleb and his team can help you create the lush outdoor space of your dreams, whether you want a durable place for your kids to play or you're ready to say goodbye to muddy paw prints. Visit sunshineturf.info or call 904-383-0243 for a free quote today from Sunshine Turf.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. Call 904-722-1111.
Instant Keys saves the day if you've lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call Instant Keys, 722-1111.
New and pre-owned firearms are always in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimbar, Smith & Wesson, Sig Sauer, and Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Mia here for MyBookie. You have 6 huge college bowl games prior to the weekend and then more NFL bangers Saturday and Sunday. Let's talk motivation as the Browns travel to play the Ravens Saturday. Baltimore favored by 17.5. The Birds win the AFC North with a win, but a loss, and the Steelers win against Cincinnati would drop the Ravens to the 5 or the 6 seed. Baltimore should go all out against Cleveland, and it's parlay time. The spread is huge but doable, as is the over on the 42-point game total. Book it. Sunday Night Football, this game will determine who wins the NFC North and the 1 seed in the conference standings, as the Vikings are 2.5-point dogs at Detroit. Both teams will be going all out. The Lions may have a bit of a hangover after a tough win on Monday night. I'd take the Vikings and the points. Sign up now at MyBookie and still get a 50% deposit bonus. That's half your money back on your first deposit up to $1,000. Promo code 1010XL. Make yourself some cash with MyBookie.
I'm Brad Keselowski.
Brad Keselowski. He wins.
And you're listening to 1010XL, Jack Sports Radio.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser start the week by giving the ball to the best back in Duval.
And off, Fred Taylor.
Monday morning running back with Fred Taylor is fueled by Epstein & Robbins DUI defense firm and Monahan Jewelers on 1010XL. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Into the Night with Rick Ballou on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
All right, with you tonight till 8 o'clock, tomorrow night till 8 o'clock. And then get back to the regular week. Next week, Black Monday. It's petrifying. It is. It's like taking that exam back when we were in school. I hated exams on Thursday and Friday, right? Because you had to wait over the weekend until you get your results. And a minute wouldn't go by where you weren't thinking about it, right? I mean, that's the way I was. And then if your teacher was lazy and didn't get the grade to you on a Monday or two, I mean, it was just like the worst. But we're just sitting around here waiting, okay? A win does absolutely nothing for Jacksonville. Nothing at all. Nothing at all. It doesn't carry over in 9 months. You can't make a case that by beating Tennessee and by beating Indianapolis, you're going to be able to package that together momentum-wise for the 2025 season. No way. No way. Not even close. And I've heard a lot lately, and I respect everyone's opinion. You can always jump in and be a part of the program with our text line at 641-1010, brought to you by Lifetime Enclosures. About it, you play to win the game. No one wants to lose. Forget about draft position and win the game. Okay. But this football team did you no favors this year. They just laughed at you. I'd take it personally if I was a Jaguars fan. Them dropping a 0-4 on you to begin this year, to look right at you and say, hey, Jaguars fan, watch this. 0-4 in the month of September. You will have nothing to cheer about during 2000, and then you win meaningless games at the end of the year. Thought it was very intriguing that Shad Khan was not in the locker room after the victory against Tennessee. He's always in there for wins. He was not. Is that telling? Does that say anything? It's eerie. The silence that we are dealing with right now is scary, and I get it. Shad's hands off. Shad doesn't say anything. He's only going to speak to the media when he's in London, right? He's not going to speak to us here. He's going to speak to us in London when it's football related. And I would be nervous right now. I think Bulky survives all of this. I've been saying forever, I think Doug Peterson gets pushed out. I would bulldozer the entire thing. But we're going to have to wait. Monday show is going to be very intriguing, win or lose, coming up on Sunday. What do you think, Dylan? Denmark? Did they make a complete move with this front office and head coaching staff, or does either one of the two survive?
I think they clean house. Had you asked me a month ago, I would have said I could have believed anything, but the way the seasons went down the stretch, I don't know how you retain either one. And I don't think they're going to keep one and drop the other. I don't see that happening. I think they clean sweep.
Well, you can't do that. You just can't. And, keeping Trent Baalke, I think, is going to have an effect on who your new head coach is going to be. I think the candidate pool will shrink. And to me, Doug Peterson, called it a season. He checked out a while ago. Some of his answers to the media, some of his, ways that he has handled things, I think have been a colossal disappointment. And I say that as someone who has tremendous respect for Doug Peterson. I did not want to see this happen for him, but I will be shocked if, in fact, he does remain. All right, Pro Bowl announced today. Logan Cook is in finally. I mean, he should have been a Pro Bowler 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. He has been consistently the Jaguars' best player. If I'm ranking Jaguars' best players right now, 1 through 53, I'm saying that Logan Cook is the second best player in this organization, behind only Brian Thomas Jr. Ross Matisic, consecutive years now, going to the Pro Bowl as a deep snapper. So congratulations to those two. The big snub is obviously Brian Thomas Jr., and there really isn't any defense. I've heard small market. I've heard Jacksonville. It's not that. Nothing is small market nowadays, not with the technology, not with every game being broadcast. This isn't like Baselli, Fred Taylor, Jimmy Smith not getting into the Hall of Fame. Okay, Tony finally got in. Fred's got a real good shot this year. He's down to the final 15, which is very encouraging for Fred Taylor. Jimmy's going to take a little bit longer. He needs some more of these wide receivers to get in. Hopefully 2 get in coming up here, a couple of days before the Super Bowl. But when you look at the numbers, 80 receptions, 1,179 yards, and 10 touches for Brian Thomas Jr., there's no doubt. I mean, he should be the second wide receiver behind only Jamar Chase. I'll tell you what hurt him. They didn't throw the football to him when the season began. He had 4 targets on opening day. He had 4 targets in week 2. Trevor Lawrence was trying to feature Gabe Davis. Trevor Lawrence was throwing the ball to Christian Kirk. Trevor Lawrence was not throwing the football to Brian Thomas Jr. And you started to lose and lose and lose and lose and lose. And all of a sudden, before you know it, Jacksonville became irrelevant. Again, when you drop a 0-4, as I said, and I keep saying because it really pisses me off that this football team cared so little about their fan base that they dropped a 0-4 on you to begin the year. And it was just one thing after another. Now, lately, he's been raking. Okay? Gabe Davis ain't there. Christian Kirk ain't there. Evan Ingram's not there. And we're seeing this young player emerge week after week after week. And the end result is he has become a tremendously talented football player. Georgia has just scored. It was let me see here. Let me pull it up. 20-10. Let me see if I can get the play-by-play. I looked up, and it had just happened, and they went to commercial. Okay, here it is right now. It was Stockton, a pass to Jones for 32 yards. So it was a real quick drive. Tell you what, we had 1 touchdown in the first half. That was Notre Dame, Riley Leonard to Collins for 13 yards. It happened with 28 seconds remaining. It was 13-3 in the first half of play. To begin the third quarter, you had a kick return for Notre Dame for a touchdown. Now Georgia puts together a 5-play, 63-yard drive, taking only 2 minutes and 12 seconds off the clock. When you're down by 3 possessions, which Georgia was, now they're down by 2 possessions, that is prime for the comeback. You don't want to put together what I talked about in the first half before the ETN fumble, one of those 13-play, 71-yard drives. Now that's fine because you're down 2 possessions and there's a lot of football left. But to get a quick score is exactly what Georgia needed. Again, they only took just a couple of minutes off the clock. Now we got a football game. 20-10, 8:26 remaining here in the second, make it in the third quarter. And all of a sudden, it looks like we're going to get ourselves a really good football game here with 23 minutes plus remaining in this contest. But back to Brian Thomas Jr., I don't think everyone was aware of it, right? When you lose consistently, and outside of Jerry Jeudy, if you look around the league, for the most part now, it's one of 2 things. It's established, recognized names who go to a Pro Bowl, or it's players who are playing on the best teams in the NFL. The Jaguars are 4-12. They had no one voted in. We're aware of that. And that whole voting process, as much as I love fans, they shouldn't be involved in the vote. I said that forever in Major League Baseball fan voting. I feel the same way. It should be players. It should be established NFL media members. It should be coaches. However you want to do it is fine. But the fans, it is a popularity contest.
It's weird that they're all accounted for as a third. That is too much for a fan.
It's way too much.
Especially, I never usually care. But, I mean, dude, players' incentives and their contracts are affected in this.
Oh, yeah.
Brian Thomas Jr. is going to get his eventually if he keeps this up. But, there's guys like McDuffie, who've played for multiple years, played really well, and never seen a Pro Bowl.
O.J. McDuffie?
Yeah. He's played for the Chiefs. There's a couple other players. There's That's where it gets iffy. You know, I don't like that.
Must not be O.J. McDuffie. He was a wide receiver years ago.
I think it's Trent McDuffie.
Okay.
I think he played for the Titans now, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. By the way, Georgia, their defense ramped up here. They've turned this momentum around. We're going to be checking in just a few minutes, about 12 minutes away from Rafael Esparza, who is at the game at the Sugar Bowl right now. But it's, let's see here, 2nd and 7, and looks like Georgia's making some defensive adjustments. Notre Dame has not been able to have a lot of success passing the football in this game. Only 68 yards receiving, and we're getting deep into the third quarter. The plus side for Notre Dame is they have had some success running it, an average of over 5 yards per carry. The exact opposite is being said now here about Georgia, all right, averaging less than a yard a carry. A lot of that is because of Gunnar Stockton and some sacks and also a key fumble. But Etienne and Frazier so far, for the most part, have been held in check. Still, nonetheless, you can feel the momentum changing in this football game. A huge third down for the Fighting Irish at their own 30. It's a 3rd and 5 with 8 minutes and 15 seconds remaining. Notre Dame does complete a pass to their tight end. So I talked about how inefficient they've been when it comes to moving the ball in the air. Lo and behold, they pick up a first down. You look at first half numbers, Notre Dame was only 1 of 6 on third down. Okay? Georgia was only 2 of 7 on third down. The two key ingredients as to why Georgia fell by 17 points, number 1, 3 fumbles, 2 in which they lost. Number 2 was a very costly penalty. And Dylan, you and I were talking about that. It was a 66-yard pass from Gunnar Stockton to Arian Smith, took it down to the 15-yard line, and then they called a 15-yard personal foul on Georgia because a player on the sideline, who I was told was a recruit.
Yeah, he wasn't even an active player.
Yeah, was actually too close to the field.
Yeah.
And how about a warning in a game like this? And it'll be interesting to see how this plays out because Georgia's a blue blood. And Georgia's won a couple of recent national titles, right? Notre Dame hasn't won a national title since 1988. But it'll be interesting to see what the outcry is after this one, where we saw it yesterday with Arizona State and Texas. A targeting situation to the T, by definition, that should have been called, and it wasn't. And it was egregious, and the feeling there was Texas, the blue blood, they're going to get a call like that, especially late in the game. This one for Georgia was very early in the football game. It was in the second quarter, but still, we'll see how that plays out after 60 minutes worth of football. All right. When we come back, a little bit more here on Brian Thomas Jr. And just if Trevor Lawrence threw him the football early on, I think he would have been noticed more. When Jacksonville was still relevant, Jacksonville became irrelevant after 4 games because they lost them all. And it became a here we go again down in Duval. Trevor Lawrence is underperforming. They're awful as far as coaching. They're asleep in the first quarter. They're always asked to come from behind and try to win football games. And I think people just wipe their hands clean. Then all of a sudden it's like, hey, this Brian Thomas Jr. kid, he can play. And he stacked up some numbers as of late. But it almost feels like that was the deal. It came too late. And again, we'll come back. We'll give you the numbers of Nico Collins and Zay Flowers and Jeremy Jeudy. He dwarfs them with those numbers. He should be in. He should only be behind Jamar Chase, as far as I am concerned, with the Pro Bowl votes for wide receivers. But because of those set of circumstances, that is not going to be the case. All right, when we return, we're also going to go to the Superdome and check in with Rafael Esparza from MyBookie and MyBookie.org. Right now, 6:26 remaining in quarter number 3. Notre Dame with the ball, but it's a 3rd and 13. The Fighting Irish up 20-10 over Georgia.
Barley and Pie Brewing Company in Fleming Island is excited to announce an all-new happy hour, 7 days a week. You heard right. every day from 3 until 6 p.m. and again from 9 until close. Barley and Pie has deals you can't resist. 2-for-1 clay lights, 2-for-1 house wines, and much more. Experience the all-new happy hour at Barley and Pie Brewing Company in Fleming Island.
Hey, Jacksonville, I'm sure by now you've seen our bright green GFL trucks and containers throughout the greater Jacksonville area. We are an industry leader in solid waste and would love the opportunity to earn your business. We are committed to customer service, reliability, and have unwavering focus on safety. Whether commercial or construction, let us haul your waste away. Call 904-760-5880 to get a quote today. GFL, green for life.
Hey, poker fans! The Best Bet Winter Open Series returns to Best Bet Jacksonville from January 23rd to February 2nd. Satellites into the $1,500 main event kick off January 4th. Take your shot at big payouts with 8 action-packed events and $500,000 in guarantees. Visit bestbetjacks.com for more details. That's bestbetjacks.com. And we'll see you at the Winter Open starting January 23rd.
Clean air, cool air, both are extremely important. Trust Florida Home AC to deliver on both with their Remy Halo, the next generation of air quality technology. Call 777-4300 for Florida Home AC and breathe clean and cool air.
Homeowners, listen up. Did you know that 9 out of 10 borrowers get a better deal by calling Loan Pronto? Hey, it's Prosser here, and the Fed has dropped the rates again. The election is over, and Loan Pronto has APRs in the low 5s for refis, debt consolidation, and purchase loans. If your current mortgage rate is over 6%, or if you're in the process with another lender, don't settle. Call Loan Pronto now for a second opinion. Lock a lower rate today and close in as little as 2 weeks, often with no appraisal. And if you act now, you won't make your first payment till February. This 5-minute call saves homeowners an average of $5,000, lower rates and lower fees. So get your Loan Pronto rate quote instantly with no hard credit pull and no upfront fees like those other guys. It's Loan Pronto. Call them at 904-999-1508, or you can visit loanpronto.com. That's Loan Pronto at 904-999-1508, loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781, on approved credit, NMLS consumeraccess.org.
Rev up your life with luxury at Vaughn Motor Group on San Jose Boulevard. Right now, used car prices are 12% lower than their peak in April of 2022, making this the perfect time to drive home in a dream car. Specializing in luxury used vehicles, offering you elegance at prices that are finally coming back down to earth. See special listings in the newspaper every Saturday or online at vaughnmotorgroup.com for a complete inventory listing. If you can dream it, you can drive it at Vaughn Motor Group.
Get off the ladder and put on the helmet with Gutter Helmet of North Florida. We are family owned and manufactured locally. Cleaning your gutters is a dangerous and dirty job. That's why with Gutter Helmet, you'll never clean your gutters again. Water goes in your gutters while trash and debris go on the ground. It won't collect like filters do. Gutter Helmet protects. Call now for 10% off and a free gutter cleaning and tune-up with your purchase of Gutter Helmet. Call 904-762-7779.
Mia here for Dreamfinders Homes. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dreamfinders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now is your chance to lock down the rate and get in the game. You heard me right, a 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershome.com for more details.
This Day in Sports History is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
On January 2nd, 1965, the New York Jets sent future Pro Football Hall of Fame quarterback Joe Namath to a $427,000 contract.
What was George Washington's salary when he was president?
Filing an insurance claim following a storm shouldn't be an ordeal. Southern Oak Insurance's claim team prepares for catastrophic situations well in advance. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
George Washington's annual salary as president was $25,000, about $4.5 million in today's dollars.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Collisions happen on every play in football. Collisions also happen every day on the road. If you need auto body repair, from a $30 job to a $30,000 job, trust San Jose Collision in Mandarin.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, another great guest on the Garber Auto Mall phone line.
Hello.
We can wiggle it.
Vegas, baby, Vegas!
And Rafael Esparza, ladies and gentlemen, is not in Las Vegas. He is in New Orleans, the side of the Sugar Bowl. Right now, 20-10, Notre Dame up over Georgia. 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. Rafael, appreciate a few moments. How are things?
I am doing well. A little bit of a craziness in my little neck of the woods, but everyone that I know here is safe, and prayers and thoughts go to everyone that was involved, and hats off to all the police and FBI and everyone here. Has just been amazing. But what I've seen, because like I said, like I was texting you, this happened 7 to 10 minute walk from our house in New Orleans.
You know, I know you never sleep, but at 3:30 a.m. New Orleans time, I guess you were.
I was, and my phone started blowing up because in my industry, I have contacts in everything, not just in sports. And my contacts were already blowing me up at 4:30 in the morning. What am I hearing? So I actually got out of bed. I was actually in my office because I do have friends in the FBI and Homeland Security and stuff like that. So I was actually getting really good information before people were drinking their coffee.
All right, what was it like today? I mean, I know that police security was really beefed up as expected, but being at the game, did you sense that there were less people there? People went away? Did they get rid of the tickets? Those who decided to go back to their homes? What was the atmosphere like?
It felt like game day, no matter what kind of game, NFL, college football, but the security presence was everywhere. I mean, and it was even heightened before this event. Me and my wife were walking down the French Quarter. That's where we live when we're here. And the security presence was there on the 30th and the 31st, but now it was like times two. I felt safe all day today, like I said, with all the presents and stuff like that. But you can tell the city is prepared, and it's probably going to be like this probably all the way through and after Mardi Gras, not just after Super Bowl, because don't forget, Mardi Gras is at the same time during Super Bowl. So New Orleans is probably going to be one of the safest places to be at, probably all the way through summer.
Yeah, I think it's, 37 days to the Super Bowl. Then, of course, Mardi Gras will come about a month or so later. So, anyway, the scenario that is happening right now in New Orleans, and Notre Dame up 20-10 over Georgia, 2:55 to go in the third quarter. Interesting trend here. I want your opinion on it. All four teams who got the bye have come out ridiculously slow. Arizona State, perhaps more than any, but we saw Oregon last night. We're seeing it now with Georgia. We saw it with Boise State. Do you think that'll have any effect? We know the seedings are going to change, but do you think that'll have any effect on a bye come next year with the college football playoff?
Maybe not next year, but if the trend keeps on going that way, then yes, because you just don't want to see this kind of lopsided scores. I mean, granted, Arizona State fought back in the second half. Fantastic game if you didn't watch that game. But I think what we're seeing, and I don't want to say Georgia started off. So Georgia, you could tell they started off with a quarterback who's never started a game or this kind of a game of a Sugar Bowl type.
Penn State, my goodness, just a dominant performance. Again, they've had an outstanding defense all year, and all of a sudden it feels like their quarterback, if he does elect to come out, and Drew Aller, he He could be the third or fourth QB selected. He says he's coming back and going to school. Who matches up better, in your opinion, with Penn State, Notre Dame or Georgia?
I would say Notre Dame will, because Georgia, we're seeing with the backup quarterback, he's not the same. I mean, maybe another game underneath he's about to be into. But I'm not 100% sold on Penn State. Yes, they played SMU. Yes, they played Boise. Boise State lost that game. Their play call was horrendous in that game against Penn State. I need Penn State. They need to prove to me when they either beat Notre Dame or when they beat Georgia, then I'll give them some credit. So right now I'm not giving full credit yet.
Rafael Esparza joining us live from New Orleans. Ohio State also around a 6-point favorite, total 53 against Texas. Your thoughts there?
Yeah, you know me. I used to be head odds maker over at MyBookie all the way through the pandemic. Odds in Vegas was a head odds maker over there. I was talking to my odds makers before they released this number. I go, make this 7 because you need Texas money. Everyone's going to bet Ohio. Ohio State looks dominant. Ohio State, it looks like they're the best team in college football. Why wouldn't you try to get as much Texas money as you can and get Ohio State money last? They didn't, and now every book I talk to says, oh, we're already heavy on Ohio State. We're going to be begging for Texas money. Boy, really? Ohio State looks dominant right now.
How are things working with the portal? Can you do anything wagering-wise with the NIL? Can you place a wager right now that, Quinn Ewers will be the starting quarterback for Oregon next year or the starting quarterback for Miami next year? Can you do anything like that?
Come on, you know who I am. I have stuff with Quinn Ewers. Where I said, who will we play for next year if he comes back to college? And Notre Dame is the betting favorite. Then it is, I think, Michigan State, who's already offered him a ridiculous money. And then, of course, North Carolina. Oregon is up there. I can't remember the other schools, but that one's in. I did transfer portal odds last year, and we just didn't get enough action. People talked about it. The radio shows and media talked about it. But betting action was nowhere to be found. So I don't know if I'm going to do any kind of transfer portal action this year.
Okay. Hey, leave us with this. It's a weird Week 18, Game 17. A lot of these situations have played itself out. Does one game stand out head and shoulders above others where the money's really pouring in this week?
It's getting really good two-way action on Minnesota-Detroit. It's the game of the weekend. I really like Cincinnati-Pittsburgh. Don't sleep on Pittsburgh. They're trying to snap a 3-game losing streak heading into the playoffs. But I'm going to give your listeners advice. If you're going to bet any of these Sunday games that mean nothing, go to the websites I don't have in front of me and look what players have incentives. Look who players who are looking for those incentives for bonuses that are probably going to play. Look for those teams if you're going to bet a game. For instance, Arizona, they have 4 or 5 guys on offense looking for incentives if they play for a certain amount of plays in their season. Look for incentives while you're making your wagers.
Yeah, I noticed one guy who didn't play last week against Jacksonville, Tony Pollard. I think he's got.
Yes, thank you. Tony Pollard is a good one.
Yeah, he's got both touchdowns and yards. If he hits the. I think he's got to go rush for like 115 yards and 2 touchdowns. It's going to be worth a pretty penny to him.
Yep. It means to those type of scenarios. The Raiders have a lot of guys with incentives. New England has some guys, though. If you're looking to place wager, investigate before you blow your money on Week 18 bets.
I think the big incentive here in Jacksonville is for Logan Cook. If he has like another 8 punts, he makes like an additional $2 million.
He might hit. Well, I actually like Jacksonville. Indianapolis was awful. They are already in Cancun mentally. I like the Jags. Take the +5.
All right, you're on with every. You talk to so many different people. I'm putting you on the spot. Doug Peterson, Trent Baalke, are they here Monday? Yes or no?
Peterson, no. Maybe a week or so for Mulkey, but I think Peterson is going to be a Black Monday casualty.
Yeah, I see that, and I've been saying all along that I think that Trent Baalke is going to survive this. I hope I'm wrong.
I think he does, but he needs to hit a home run interview-wise on next head coach and landing a head coach.
Man, I just don't see it. I don't. Nate Hackett, Bill O'Brien, whomever. Hey, give us the latest. What's going on at MyBookie?
It's craziness because we still have college football going on. Week 18. I can't believe the NFL playoffs are just around the corner. College basketball's in full swing. But don't forget the FCS this weekend, a championship game on Monday, January 6th. North Dakota State, Montana State. Montana State -3, totals 56. Should be a fantastic game. Don't forget about the FCS championship game.
Raphael, always a pleasure. Thank you, sir.
Have a good one. Have a safe weekend.
All right, be safe there in New Orleans. There he goes, Raphael Esparza. And we have played 3 quarters at the Superdome. Both teams scored touchdowns in quarter number 3. So Notre Dame with the football, they are up 20-10 right now. It is a 3rd and 4 for Notre Dame at the Georgia 27-yard line. I tell you what, we'll keep it around for one play here and then hit the break, get ready to bring in the Mangler, Penn State's own Greg Huntington, as well as one of the 10 original Jacksonville Jaguars who will join us next hour. We're going to talk about the Jags. Also going to talk a great deal about Penn State and who they match up better against, either Georgia or Notre Dame. That is going to be who they will, in fact, draw. Looks like it was great defensive coverage. Riley Leonard skies it both over, I don't know who the wide receiver was, both the WR and the CB. So Notre Dame is going to line up here now for a field goal. We'll keep you updated on that as we do return and get you ready for hour number 2 with Dylan Denmark. It's great to have you with us. My name's Rick Ballou.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's contestant, a professional stamp licker from Jacksonville, Florida, meet Martin Celery.
Oh, gosh. I can't wait to play, Bob.
Well, let's move things along. Tell him what he's won, Johnny.
Wait, but
That's right, Marty. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we've stocked up on the remaining inventory of low-cost 2024 model air conditioners, so you win. We're passing the savings on to you.
Can I answer a question first?
We need to make room for the 25s, so we're offering great deals on AC replacements while supplies last.
Could I spin the wheel at least? I've been practicing for a year.
With last-minute deals like this, there's no question that you are cool.
What do I tell my kids?
There you go. Have a souvenir t-shirt.
Thanks.
Stay cooler with Bueller. Visit BuellerAir.com.
Jimerson Burr is a full-service, Florida-based commercial law firm that has experience and capabilities to handle any legal issue a business is confronted with. Learn more about what they can do for you at jimersonfirm.com.
Do you have clicking, popping, swelling, or pain in your knee or shoulder? This can be due to arthritic changes in your joints. Over time, you have wear and tear of your cartilage. I am Dr. George Bari, and here at Bari Orthopedics, we have numerous ways to treat your arthritis, such as regenerative medicine, including PRP and joint replacements with CT guidance for accuracy down to the millimeter. If you are experiencing any of these symptoms, call us for an appointment today or log on to BariOrthopedics.com.
Find out more at BariOrthopedics.com. That's BAHRI Orthopedics.com.
Make a resolution this new year to send all of your friends or family a Kuhn Flowers floral arrangement. RJ Saunders here with 1010XL, and okay, how about sending just one person you love a floral arrangement? Kuhn Flowers can handle it.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks Vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And when you need more comfort for yourself, try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks Vapors.
Use as directed. Vapo Stick for use ages 4 and up. Vapo Shower
I'm
Max.
here with Danny Van Sickle, Director of the Electrical Training Alliance. Danny, tell me about your program.
Hey, Rick, we're a 4-year electrical apprenticeship. Our students start out making over $40,000 a year, and right now make over $90,000 a year, including benefits. There is no tuition or student debt. You just have to apply and get accepted.
Did you say no tuition and no student debt?
You heard that right, Rick. Once you're accepted to the program, you only cost for the books and the course fees. About $800 a year.
That sounds like an amazing opportunity. How can I learn more?
Just go to etajax.org and you can apply there.
Apply by May 15th.
The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
This is Walker Little of your Jacksonville Jaguars for Kingfish Pest Control. I've been a Kingfish customer for a while now and can confirm that their service is incredible. Not only do they protect my family from pests, Kingfish's office staff is the friendliest around. They even email me a photo of the tech before arriving at my home. Kingfish Pest Control is a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Be sure to enter their SWAT That Kick sweepstakes for free pest control for 3 years. Go to kingfishpest.com and tell them Walker Little sent you.
Now you can watch 1010XL shows all day on X, Facebook, and YouTube. Brought to you by MyBookie. Experience Vegas from the comfort of your phone anytime, anywhere. Sign up today. Use promo code 1010XL.
Bull riding. The perfect fusion of strength, skill, and pure willpower. Professional bull riders aren't just athletes. They're daredevils with cowboy souls. Come experience the true modern West, where 8 seconds of glory will create a lifetime of memories. It's the Michelob Ultra PBR Jacksonville at ViStar Veterans Memorial Arena, February 22nd and 23rd. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.com and PBR.com. Hold on tight. The ride of your life is about to begin.
Mia here. When it comes to roofing, whether it be shingles, metal, or most repairs, there is one name that has protected your home since 1999. Pro-Jax Roofing. Serving all of Northeast Florida, Mike and his guys have been repairing and replacing roofs for 25 years. Need insurance help? Mike's team can help. Raised in a military family, Mike provides great attention to detail with unparalleled quality and workmanship. They also have warranties, so you can have peace of mind. Call Mike today for a free estimate or online at projaxroofingfl.com.
Hey, Hicken here with a message from Zero Res. Guess what? We love rugs. We'll treat your fine Oriental rugs with tender, loving care they deserve. How about Gerard, the Zero Res rug cleaning manager, one of the few certified master rug cleaners in the state of Florida? If you want your rugs cleaned with tender, loving care, call Zero Res. Right now, have one rug washed and we'll wash the second rug free. That's right, buy one, the second one on me. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res.
Gotta go to work, guys. Gotta go to work. We gotta go to work. It was the point where they shifted into high gear. Go. It's the Randy Marion Cadillac of Jacksonville drive of the game.
They feel good. That feel good.
On 1010XL. 1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Into the Night with Rick Ballou on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
12 minutes to go in New Orleans, Georgia driving. They are entering the red zone. They have it at the 25 right now. Notre Dame up 23-10. Again, as we tick just under 12 minutes remaining here in the Sugar Bowl, the winner will get Penn State. Joining us this hour in studio, our good friend and Penn State alum, one of the 10 original Jaguars, Greg Huntington.
How you doing, Rick?
I'm doing great.
It's always a pleasure to come in and get to communicate with the truth teller.
It's always fun when you get a good game, and even though this is a 23-10, it to some may look like it's slanted heavily to Notre Dame. It feels like Georgia is absolutely still in this football game.
Hey, I would agree. It started off as a slugfest. What's hurt Georgia has been turnovers and big plays, especially taking the kickoff back in the second half for a touchdown. That hurts.
Yeah.
But, it's a clash of the Titans defensively.
Notre Dame had 5 early penalties. They also roughed the kicker twice in a row, and one of those was I believe, not accepted. Just let me check real quick to see where Notre Dame is. It feels like they've cleaned up their act a little bit. All right, they're at 8 penalties. Georgia now at 3, so that has not been a problem so far for Georgia. We got a lot to get into. Just on the surface, though, Penn State sits back and waits. Who do you believe the Nittany Lions match up against better with, Notre Dame or Georgia?
I think Notre Dame is what I would have initially thought. Because if Carson Beck being in play with Georgia, if he was and didn't suffer the injury and the surgery, I think that may have been a more difficult matchup for Penn State. I think they match up well against Notre Dame. I mean, both are going to be defensive games and running the ball.
Boy, when's the last time they played? I'd have to look that up.
Well, when I was at Penn State, we were still independent. We played Notre Dame every year on our schedule.
And that would have been late 80s.
Well, 1992 was my senior year. It was called the Snow Bowl. Rick Meyer throws a pass to Reggie Brooks in the back of the end zone, and he wasn't known for catching the ball, and he catches this miraculous pass, and they end up beating us. And disappointing senior year at Penn State. We were 7-5, unfortunately.
All right, let's look this up just since we're here and looking at the overall current win streak. I guess the last time you played was 2007.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, looking it up right now. Let me see here. Longest winning streak was 3 in a row. Largest margin of victory was 1984. It was 44-7. How come I can't get the season series of games? Anyway, I'll get to that eventually, but it has been a little while. Okay, here we go. Lifetime. How about this? 9-9 with one tie. Lifetime.
Wow.
Between Notre Dame and Penn State. 9-9. So this would be to get to the national championship and take a commanding 10-9 lead lifetime against the opponent.
Yeah, I mean, there's two storied programs, Notre Dame, Penn State. Like I said, we played each other every year on the regular schedule. It'd be epic. And it's interesting to see how things are playing out. It doesn't seem like the teams that got a bye in the playoffs are faring too well.
Do us a favor, and I know the game's changed a little bit, and it's slightly unfair because back when you played, it was just the ball game. But we have seen the 4 teams who have gone through a bye. Georgia today, Oregon yesterday, Boise State yesterday, Arizona State yesterday, come out ridiculously flat.
Yeah.
And just almost like it was the first game of the year.
Yeah.
And they were totally unprepared. The teams who were forced to play a week ago all won. They were all favored to win, but it feels as though watching the games that they're with it and they're ready to roll. There's not a coach alive that would say they'd rather play than not have a bye. But boy, the proof is that it's affected them mightily so far.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. And I think they need to also look at these championship games. Penn State ended up having to play in the Big Ten championship against Oregon. Now, I guess if you win, you get the bye. But as we're discussing, that bye doesn't seem to be doing anybody any favors at this point. And, getting back to even Penn State, as much as I am a goober for Penn State, right, former player, they've had the least path of resistance in the playoff schedule, right?
Oh, yeah.
SMU, my wife went there. I couldn't lose that one. And then Boise State. So even your previous guest that you had on, I think he nailed it. I'm still not completely convinced that they're going to be able to win the big game against the Notre Dame, or we lost to Ohio State at home. So it'll be amazing, but it'll be good if it's Notre Dame, Penn State. You'll get a good following to that game down in Miami.
Yeah. You played Penn State. You played Ohio State. Well, got away late.
Yeah.
But for those, the score is misleading compared to the 60 minutes worth of football.
It is. It was a good game. I mean, it's at home. I would have liked to think we could win that. But unfortunately, and my sentiments about James Franklin, I really haven't been the biggest fan. Back in, I think it was 26. It's been 9 years since we've beaten Ohio State. And we went to the Big Ten championship. Mm-hmm. We probably got robbed of being one of the 4 playoff teams. But then it's been just mediocrity. And mediocrity at Penn State is 10-2, 9-3, right? Not being able to beat Ohio State or be able to beat Michigan. So I'm still cautiously optimistic if Penn State, when they get into a game, whether it be Georgia or Notre Dame, are they going to be able to pull it off?
Penn State sits and waits. They will get the winner of Notre Dame and Georgia. Of course, we do know Ohio State will take on Texas. That is to get to the Final Four. And right now, Notre Dame up 23-10. Here against the Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia is driving, though. They have it inside the 15-yard line as we move our way through the fourth quarter. The game continues to change. You see the story out of Texas that Quinn Ewers, who completes that 4th and 13 yesterday, and they win in overtime. The word is basically they've said, see ya. We're going to Arch Manning, so go to the NFL. If not, you're going to enter the transfer portal. It must have been really cool. And it didn't happen for you. It's new, but it must be really cool to get paid huge money as a college football player. But what are your thoughts? I mean, look what happened to the backup quarterback at Penn State.
Yeah, I think, and I've listened to your show for many years, and you do an excellent job of talking about these type of topics, especially in the transfer portal and the NIL. There needs to be some level of reform. My senior year at Penn State, I actually wrote a paper about college players getting paid, and because you're going there on scholarship, so that education is worth something,
right?
I figured I figured if you're going to pay the players and you set aside the same amount for each player equally that they receive upon graduation, right?
Well,
the incentive to graduate. And at Penn State under Paterno, we graduated 90% of our players.
Yeah.
So that was pretty good. But definitely something has to be done. And I'm glad you brought this up because I was watching the Army-Navy game. Remember a couple weeks ago?
Sure. Absolutely.
And it dawned on me. And that was an awesome game. I mean, those guys are just getting after it. There's no quitting those guys. And it dawned on me, I go, that is probably the purest form of college football in Division I, right? Because you can't just transfer to the academies.
Right.
You have to have your appointment letters from your senators and all that. Now, you may be able to transfer out. And I don't think they can get NIL money because they're government property.
Yeah.
So I look at that and I go, that's refreshing. Those guys are, and I mean, granted, you get in Division II and Division III, those guys are playing because they just love the game.
Yeah, it is a good point. And again, clearly that is a separate set of circumstances with what they do. And of course, Roger Staubach won a Heisman, served our country.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who was the other great player? Was it Napoleon?
McCullum.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great running back.
Yeah, blew his knee out.
Yeah, David Robinson, remember that in the NBA?
Yeah,
yep.
NBA.
So there have been examples, but I'd have to go back and look at that. I want to say Staubach had to sit all 5 years out. I may be wrong, but that happened in the 60s.
Yeah, right. I think going forward, they then allowed you to, we talked about the other individuals, maybe not to necessarily serve the 4 years.
But some people forget that Ted Williams served 5 years in the prime of his career.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what Ted Williams' numbers would have been if he did not lose those 5 years? That was in like his late 20s into, I want to say, like when he was 30 or 31. He came back and played for like another 10 plus years. But can you imagine if he didn't lose those 5?
I know, it's amazing.
He would have entered Babe Ruth numbers.
Now, and maybe you know this better than I do. I don't know if he served both in World War I or World War II and then Korea. I know he was a fighter pilot in Korea.
I think he did both.
I think he did both.
Go back and look at that.
That's just amazing.
I got a lot of research to do, and I bring you in, man. You got us thinking here. Greg Huntington, the Mangler, one of the 10 original Jaguars. All right, final thought on college football, then we'll turn our attention to the Jaguars. Ohio State's scary.
They are. If I had to pick right now who's going to win it all, it's Ohio State because they're clearly playing with a chip on their shoulder after the Michigan debacle.
How did Michigan beat them? And I watched it. How did they beat them?
I don't know. I caught parts of that game, so I can't speak completely intelligible about it. But, those kind of games, you kind of throw records out, right? But it has motivated them. And then for Oregon not to show up, Oregon beat them in the first game of the year.
Oh, yeah.
And then to be that big of a spread between the final score is just shocking.
You know what? Sometimes name recognition, to me, still means more than what they're actually doing. Case in point, Michigan was really down this year after winning a national title.
Mm-hmm.
They beat Blue Bloods, Ohio State, Alabama, and USC in 1 year. Now, those schools are down outside of Ohio State.
Right.
Okay. Who's the last school to knock off those 3 schools in 1 year?
Yeah,
think about that.
USC,
Alabama, and Ohio State.
Yeah, you'd have to go back to the 90s.
And this was considered a down year, no doubt about it, for those involved with the Michigan Wolverines. All right, Georgia trying to push one in, Stockton to the 7-yard line. It's going to be 4th down. Big decision here now for Kirby Smart with 10 minutes to go in this football game. They're down 2 possessions. They're down 13 points. So, getting 3 here would push it to 10. You would still be down 2 possessions. Got to believe they're going to go for it here. You have to.
Yeah, definitely.
Time is ticking with 9:40 to go. They're wasting quite a bit of clock. So we won't take our break until after this play, and we'll keep you updated. Then when we do return, I'm going to ask Greg Huntington straight up, is Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke returning? And if they are not, what is this football team going to do? Stockton to the corner of the end zone, incomplete pass, waiting for a flag, and it's not coming. They will turn the ball over on downs. 9:25 to go in the fourth quarter. Notre Dame 23, Georgia 10. It's great to have you with us. If you have a question, 641-1010 on our text line, which is brought to you by Lifetime Enclosures. Greg Huntington is here. Dylan Denmark is here. My name is Rick Ballou with you tonight till 8. Ballou here for Spunez Vision. Why Spunez Vision? Well, I've been with Dr. Neil Spunez now since I got back to Jacksonville in 2006. 37 years of experience he has. Spunez Vision is a family organization that focuses on personal high-quality medical and surgical eye care. Dr. Catherine Spunez is fellowship-trained in cornea and cataract surgery and all refractive surgery. Combined, that's 30 years plus in laser eye surgery. Visit SpunezVision.com today. Here you can see.
Mia here for Dream Finders Homes. For a limited time to ring in the new year, Dream Finders Homes is offering an amazing 4.99% fixed interest rate. Now is your chance to lock down the rate and get in the game. You heard me right, a 4.99 fixed interest rate on select move-in ready homes. Visit dreamfindershomes.com for sales event information and get in the game. Interest rate available on select move-in ready homes. Restrictions and limitations apply. Go to dreamfindershome.com for more details.
You know, many plumbers won't quote prices over the phone and instead charge a service fee for an in-home estimate. Of course, because they know once they're in your home, you're probably not going to send them away. But Roland Reach Plumbing is different. Roland will give you a price quote over the phone. And there's never a trip charge or service fee for an estimate. So if you've got a leak and can't wait a week and don't like paying unnecessary fees, call on Roland Reach Plumbing at plumbingjacksonville.com.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Instant Keys saves the day if you have lost or broken keys. They can program new keys and remotes for nearly every make and model of vehicle at a fraction of the dealership cost. Fast, honest, and reliable locksmith service. Call 722-1111.
Instant Keys. Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you.
Tailgate special alert. 3 pounds of marinated chicken, 2 pounds of marinated steak tips, 2 pounds of fresh ground beef, and 2 pounds of homemade sausage for only $80 to feed your crew.
For tasty tips and juicy breasts, choose Southern Steer Butcher.
New and pre-owned firearms are always in stock at Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach. Want a new sidearm or rifle? Brands like Kimbar, Smith & Wesson, Sig Sauer, and Beretta. No lines, no hassle. Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jacksonville Beach.
Open enrollment is here, so it's time to secure health coverage for your family. Whether you need Affordable Care Act plans, dental, or Medicare, contact Florida First Insurance Group on University Boulevard, an award-winning Florida Blue agency well known for providing superior service. Theo Mitchelson and his team at Florida First make the process easy and stress-free with medical and dental insurance you can count on. Plus, listen to this. Based on eligibility, many people pay absolutely nothing for coverage. Contact Theo Mitchelson and the Florida First Insurance Group today and let your health be their priority. And a reminder for Florida Blue members, visit Sanitas Medical Center with 3 locations in town offering primary care, walk-in services, an on-site pharmacy, and mental health support. SANITAS Medical Center, Florida First Insurance Group, and Sanitas Medical Center, a winning team in Northeast Florida.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist is now offering ortho walk-in appointments. If you have an immediate need for orthopedic care, contact Southeast Orthopedic Specialist immediately. Avoid ERs and urgent care waiting rooms. For more information, go to se-ortho.com.
Relieve pain and get back to life. Southeast Orthopedic Specialists.
Now, the Florida Gator Report on 1010XL, brought to you by San Jose Collision.
The 6th-ranked Gators basketball team will open SEC play on Saturday against 10th-ranked Kentucky. The matchup against the Wildcats starts a 3-game stretch against ranked SEC opponents. The 13-0 Gators tip off at Kentucky Saturday morning at 11, right here on 1010XL.
Rev up your life with luxury at Vaughn Motor Group on San Jose Boulevard. Right now, used car prices are 12% lower than their peak in April of 2022, making this the perfect time to drive home in a dream car. Specializing in luxury used vehicles, offering you elegance at prices that are finally coming back down to earth. See special listings in the newspaper every Saturday or online at vaughnmotorgroup.com for a complete inventory listing. If you can dream it, you can drive it at Vaughn Motor Group.
Mondays in the fall are made for talking football.
Let's talk football.
Football! Sink your teeth into Dandy Foods Post-Game Monday.
Let's talk football.
Makers of quality fresh sandwiches and home of the good stuff on 1010XL.
A hardworking student athlete deserves recognition.
Catch the Southeast Orthopedic Specialist Scholar Athlete of the Week. Brought to you by the Plumbers and Pipefitters Local Union 234. Wednesdays on The Franchi Show.
On 1010XL.
1010XL is presented by Farah and Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Into the Night with Rick Ballou on 1010XL 92.5 FM.
All right, pretty bizarre set of circumstances just took place here at the Sugar Bowl. 4th and 1 for Notre Dame at their own, I think it was 19-yard line, and they ran the punt team off. They ran the offense on. And in college football, you cannot snap the ball until defensively you are allowed to make your substitutions as well. Well, to make a long story short, Riley Leonard didn't get the ball until 3 seconds left on the play clock, but about a half second prior to that, a defensive lineman for Georgia jumps off side. Reminds me of Senderick Marks here years ago for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So a fresh set of downs now for Notre Dame, and they have it with under 6 minutes to go. What a costly mistake. Greg Huntington in studio joining Rick Ballou. You can't make a mistake like that with the game on the line.
You can't. And, I alluded to it before. They're beating themselves with these penalties and turnovers. Yeah, you can't do that. You got to be more disciplined. But, it's a defensive lineman.
Here's this Riley Leonard, man. He was the difference against Indiana. He was so fleet of foot a year ago before he had that high ankle injury for Duke. And I went to the game in Tallahassee where he tried to play against Florida State. He has been simply outstanding. I mean, he rolls out here to the left and just took on and beat a couple of different Georgia defenders on a 3rd and 7, Greg. So, again, he's going to get 4 more downs here and run this clock under 5 minutes to play in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah. What was the game early on in Notre Dame's season this year that they lost?
Northern Illinois.
Northern Illinois.
Yeah. At home.
Yeah. Maybe that was
at home. And they were calling for Marcus Freeman, say he'll never be able to win. And look what they're doing now. They're less than 5 minutes away from meeting Penn State in the Final Four of this year's college football playoff. All right, Greg Huntington with Rick Ballou and Dylan Denmark. The Jaguars, they have a ball game on Sunday. Of course, Greg, one of the 10 original Jacksonville Jaguars. It's going to happen here on Monday.
I honestly think that I think Doug Peterson's probably going to get let go.
Mm-hmm.
I think, too, it would be wise if you cleared house. Because if you're going to let the head coach go and you bring in a new guy, that new guy's going to maybe want somebody that he's associated with to be the GM,
Right.
And work in tandem.
Yeah. He hasn't done that before. Trent Baalke has survived, a couple of changes. He did so in San Francisco. He certainly did here when he was the interim with Doug Marrone and then appointed as the full-time general manager with Urban Meyer, and then the decision to bring in Doug Peterson. So he has been able to survive all of this up to date. There's some school of thought, including yours truly, who's been saying forever, I think Trent Baalke's going to survive this.
Yeah, you have been saying it. You've been out front on that.
I'm not happy about it. I just think it.
I wish I could speak more intelligibly on the GM's role. It's almost like I look at the draft, and to me, like the draft, it's a crapshoot, right? It's almost a 50-50 proposition with any player, whether it's the 1st through the 7th. Whether that player is going to be able to handle the pro game and step up. So, Yeah, you look at Trent Baalke, and he's got some wins and he's got some misses.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming that's par for the course in that role.
Yeah, I believe that when you're losing the way that this team is losing, and there's a clear lack of leadership, and the identity of the team right now is really in flux. You need to bring in new everyone, right? A new front office, a new general manager, a new head coach, new coordinators, new position coaches. I just don't think you can say, well, let's keep him here and see what happens. Yeah. You've got to bulldozer the thing and start from scratch.
I completely agree with you in that assessment. I was on your show, last year or the beginning of this year talking about last year's season, how I became kind of uninterested, losing the last 5 out of 6 games.
That was painful.
And then all you got to do is beat the Titans on the road to get into the playoffs, and they can't do that. Okay,
right.
Well then, so reset, and then you hear that maybe this might be the best team ever assembled in Jags history, and it was the farthest thing from the truth. And then I keep hearing the stat. Well, they've only lost so many games within 5 points.
Oh yeah,
I'm tired of hearing that stat. A loss is a loss, and when you get just dismantled by the Bills and the Lions, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I could care less how many games you almost won within 5 points.
Mm-hmm.
You don't lose to the Browns at home.
No.
You don't lose to the Jets at home. You don't lose to the Texans at home. Now, they put up a pretty decent fight against the Vikings, but you can't lose those games at home against those teams.
I've always thought this, and this comes from years of doing what I do, and it's come based on talking with a lot of people over the years. But when you get blown out the way you did against Detroit and Buffalo, they're better teams. When you lose game after game after game after game by one possession, that comes down to coaching and players not making plays when they have to.
I completely agree with you. When you get blown out like that, like I said, by Detroit and the Bills, you're not even in that same stratosphere with those teams. And I talk to my friends that aren't necessarily former players, and you watch the Jaguars and you watch other games, other teams, you're like, we don't even look like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like we're clunking along, and these other teams just seem so much different than us. And to me, with procedural penalties, blown coverages, at some point in time, that comes back on leadership.
Yeah.
Tom Coughlin would have never stood for that kind of stuff.
No way.
And granted, things have changed in terms of the monies that these individuals are getting paid now, and what effect that has on the coach's ability to come down on them. And we can maybe talk a bit later about this, but my good friend Mark Brunell, he's the quarterbacks coach in Detroit. And he still has his house here, and I think his wife, Stacy, is still coaching track over at Episcopal. So he's gone 11 months out of the year. He's back in July when they get off, the players get off, the coaches get off before training camp starts. And I'll always get together with them and have breakfast. And I go and I asked him, I said, what's next for you, Mark? Offensive coordinator? He goes, nope. He goes, I'm not cut out for that job. He goes, those guys are thinking 5 plays ahead. He goes, no, I think I could be a head coach because you're managing, people or individuals. And I asked him, I said, and I'm going to make my point about the money. I said, you've done a great job with Jared Goff.
Yeah.
I said, but what does he do wrong? And Mark was like, well, every now and then he'll snap the ball too soon or too late when a guy's in motion.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Or he may miss a read. And I looked across the table at Mark. I go, did you ever do that? And he goes, no. He says, no.
I love it.
But this is what he said. He goes, Greg, the guy's making $37 million this year. He's scheduled to make $42 million. Do you think he really concerns himself whether he's snapping it at the right time when a guy's in motion?
Yeah.
And I think about that, whether it was Cam Robinson. I mean, how much is Cam making? $40 million?
$1 million a game.
How hard can an offensive line coach come down on you and you really take it to heart?
Well, the game's changed, and it's changed so much. And, I want to get into who you think the next coach should be, but here's my way of looking at it. Notre Dame is keeping it on the ground, and they continuously here are picking up first downs, even though there is a flag on the play. But we have 3 minutes and 12 seconds to go. Notre Dame still with the football. They are up 23-10 over Georgia. Here's what I want with the next coach. I want an offensive coach, okay, because you have $55 million invested in Trevor Lawrence, and he's not going anywhere. So you need the best offensive coach that you can possibly bring in. But here's what I want, Greg. I want a guy who sits down with the general manager and sits down with Shad Khan and says, give me Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to make Trevor Lawrence a Super Bowl winning quarterback. I can't wait to get with him. I want that energy. I want that approach. The last thing I want is to hear that they hired a coach who's like, well, he's 22-38 as a starter. I don't know. I don't trust his football instincts. He makes too many mistakes. I don't know if he's really the guy. I don't want that. I want someone to look at Shad Khan and say, hire me. I am going to make this man a Super Bowl winner.
Yeah. You're very passionate about that.
That's the guy you got to hire me.
I agree. So,
that's the guy you got to hire, though, Greg.
No, I'm with you 100%. And, the reason I reached out to you the other day to have me come on your show is the connection that I do have with Mark Brunell.
Sure.
And we stay in contact. We text and we call. And after Detroit destroyed the Jaguars, I texted Mark. I said, move heaven and earth to convince Ben Johnson to take this job if it becomes available.
Yeah.
And then we talked. I mean, we actually talked on the phone together. And he said, look, Ben Johnson wants that job.
Mm-hmm.
He likes the idea of Trevor Lawrence. And, of course, if Ben were to come, Mark's going to follow. They're very close. I mean, he's his offensive coordinator. He would be the quarterback's coach here in Jacksonville for Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
I said, well,
but you don't think he'd be the offensive coordinator?
No.
You don't?
Out of his own mouth, he just said he's not cut out for that. Now, maybe he could see differently. But why can't Ben Johnson call the plays?
Well, that's just it. I think that Mark would be the offensive coordinator by definition, but you want Ben Johnson calling the plays. Right. Because if this thing does turn around and all of a sudden people start calling for Mark Brunell and say, we want you to become the head coach of our team, you still want it to be okay where it's Ben Johnson who's calling plays. I look at it like a situation going back 20 years ago with Sean Payton and Drew Brees, that you can lose coordinators, you can lose position coaches, but it's Sean Payton, Drew Brees, the combination of the play caller and the performer. That's the way it's got to be. I don't want Ben Johnson coming here handing the offensive coordinator and play calls to Mark Brunell or anyone else. I want Ben Johnson coming here calling the plays.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, for sure. And again, and I want to make sure that I cover Mark appropriately in the sense that he thinks the world of Dan Campbell.
Okay.
And enjoys his position there as a quarterback coach. But he definitely said, I'll follow Ben Johnson.
Yeah.
If he comes to Jacksonville. I said, well, what if he goes to the Raiders? He goes, I'll stay in Detroit. Simply because Vegas is too far away from Jacksonville.
Right.
Because, he commutes back and forth and his wife. And so, but that was encouraging to hear. And of course, you don't know what to believe these days when you see stuff, on your phone or something about, it's already a done deal, but, with Ben Johnson and you're talking behind. I don't know any of that. What I do know from Mark Brunell, who obviously is a 100% reliable source, is that Ben Johnson wants this job if it becomes available.
Yeah.
And look, I like Doug Peterson. I've met Doug a few times. He has us come and have dinner with the rookies. But it's kind of like I like Gus Bradley. But
what's there not to like about Gus?
Right. Great guys, but something is missing there with their ability to get these players to play at another level.
Hope Gus Bradley draws up some solid defense on Sunday. I want Indy knocking off Jacksonville. It makes no sense to win this game. No. You know, as a former player, you're not going to carry over momentum 9 months away by winning these last two games.
No, too. If they were to win, does that in Shad's mind go, well, hey, they ended up winning 5 and, got in bed, tacking in the right direction. So, yeah.
You would think that Shad Khan's mind has already been made up.
Yeah.
But we don't know that.
Not a clue.
And I do like what was reported last weekend that Shad was not in the locker room for the victorious speech and whatever it was after a win. He always is. He was not there this past Sunday.
That's what I've heard. And
yeah.
I mean, you obviously have information. You're on top of these things because it's your job to know whether Shad's in there for the speeches after the game.
2-minute warning, and Notre Dame has punted the football. So Georgia, let's see. Are they out of timeouts? They are. Georgia's completely out of timeouts. They are going to get the football at, it looks around the 20-yard line or so, down 23-10 with 150 remaining in this football game. How are we doing on breaks here? Should we take our final one, Dylan?
Yeah, we can take one here in a couple minutes if you want, or we'll take it now.
Yeah, why don't we do that? Why don't we do that? Because they're taking a break here on the game, and then we'll come back and be able to take you through what appears to be, unless something crazy happens here, a Notre Dame victory over Georgia. If you want to join us, 641-1010 on our text line, brought to you by Lifetime Enclosures. He's still in Denmark. One of the 10 original Jaguars is here. Greg Huntington. I'm Rick Ballou with you tonight till 8.
Huddle up and catch all the playoff action at Hurricane Grill and Wings, where every day is game day. They're serving up the flavors you crave, from refreshing new cocktails to famous wings that are always better with Pepsi. And with happy hour deals, you'll be winning all day long. It's the perfect spot to catch all the football action with friends and family while enjoying your food faves, cocktails, and beer. Don't miss out. Swing by Hurricane Grill and Wings and see what everyone's cheering about.
Bueller Air and Plumbing presents Are You Cool?
Today's contestant, a professional stamp licker from Jacksonville, Florida, meet Martin Celery.
Oh, gosh. I can't wait to play, Bob.
Well, let's move things along. Tell him what he's won, Johnny.
Wait, but
That's right, Marty. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we've stocked up on the remaining inventory of low-cost 2024 model air conditioners, so you win. We're passing the savings on to you.
Can I answer a question first?
We need to make room for the 25s, so we're offering great deals on AC replacements while supplies last.
Could I spin the wheel at least? I've been practicing for a year.
With last-minute deals like this, there's no question that you are cool.
What do I tell my kids?
There you go. Have a souvenir t-shirt.
Thanks.
Stay cooler with Bueller. Visit BuellerAir.com.
The Florida Forum welcomes New York Times bestselling author Deepak Chopra, moderated by Shad Khan, January 15th. Funds raised for a Kids Care Mobile ICU, a neonatal and pediatric critical care transport vehicle. Kids Care vehicles and helicopters safely transport more than 2,200 infants and children a year to Wolfson Children's Hospital. To get your tickets, call 202-2886 or click thefloridaforum.com.
There are three certainties in life: death, taxes, and if you stay in your home long enough, a new roof. Pick it here for our friends at Lockhart Roofing. Nobody better in Jacksonville. How do I know? They are a local certified Master Elite contractor, and that means they have a GAF Master Elite warranty. That's the best in the roofing industry. In this day and age, don't settle for cheaper discount roofers. Lockhart Roofing has been here for decades. They aren't going anywhere. Call my friends at Lockhart Roofing, 994-3851. That's 994-3851. Lockhart Roofing, Jacksonville's best for Jacksonville people.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
Everything about the game has changed, except for the most important thing. What you have inside. It is what drives the game. It refuses to be ignored. It sweats everything, turns an athlete into a legend. Gatorade, is it in you?
From Gatorade Zero to Gatorade Endurance Formula and Gator Light, there's something for every athlete. Find it at your local Winn-Dixie. It's a win-win. Gatorade, official partner of the NFL.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court: the Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
Nick in here with a message from Zero Res. Did you have people over for the holidays? Kids everywhere, dirt everywhere, all over the carpets, the rugs, the sofas, and chairs. Did the kitchen towel take a beating? Sounds like it's time to call my guys over at Zero Res. The Zero Res techs will get the house looking great again. Folks, if you need help cleaning up after the holiday, give Zero Res a call. Right now, 25% off carpet cleaning, 25% off upholstery cleaning. Zero Res, spell it forwards. Zero Res, spell it backwards. It's the right way to clean.
Zero Res. Frank Frangie here for Stanley Pools. You know, pool design has come a long way, and if your pool is outdated, Stanley Pools specializes in bringing older pools up to date for the whole family to enjoy. That's why I did it a few years ago, and man, I love the way my pool looks now after we added travertine pavers and so much else. Stanley Pools has been serving our community since 1988, so call them today at 269-7277 or find them online at StanleyPoolsFL.com. That's Stanley Pools, a family tradition of fine swimming pools.
It's more than just filling the stat sheet. It's the guy who makes the universal difference.
Breaks free, cuts back, and grabs a man for a touchdown.
The Universal Roof and Contracting Offensive Player of the Game on 1010XL. It's kind of like his own private locker, and you're his guest.
Every time we talk, I'm reinvigorated by my love of the game.
Hayes Carline here. Find my blog at 1010XL.com.
Hayes Blog is brought to you by Roland Reach Plumbing, where quality and experience count. 1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing, keeping Jack's cool since '87.
And it's all about Notre Dame. They have knocked off Georgia. That is a final. The Fighting Irish 23. The Georgia Bulldogs 10. Riley Leonard with his feet, man, 11 carries, 65 yards, only 14 of 23 in the air. And they will get Penn State next. Sitting next to me is Penn State alum Greg Huntington. They're going to meet for the 20th time. I have this unofficially now. This is not called Wikipedia. It's called Winsipedia. And it has Notre Dame 9, Penn State 9, with one tie. The last time they played was in 2007. They will play in a week. And we just to see if they change the time there because of the delay here for Notre Dame. I mean, Penn State's already rested for 48 hours.
Yeah.
For that Friday night game. Oh, I was thinking Friday night. Thinking this was Monday.
I lose track of time.
Yeah, the holiday screws all that
really,
up.
yeah.
But bottom line, Penn State's rested for 48 hours.
Rested, and I know this is going to sound trivial. I don't know how they determine who gets to wear the home jerseys because I can't stand it when Penn State's in all white. I mean, I hated that. Hopefully, they were going to be in their blue uniforms playing against Notre Dame. But it's going to be classic. I mean, it's going to be a classic matchup. I mean, even if it was Georgia, that brings back memories of the 1983 Sugar Bowl, Penn State, Georgia.
Greg Garrity.
Yeah, Greg Garrity.
Todd Blackledge. Yeah, Georgia beat Notre Dame in that building in 81.
Correct.
And then Penn State went back and beat him in that building in 83. That's right. Was it that building? Was it?
No, it was Sugar Bowl.
Yep.
It was New Orleans.
And then you beat the U with Vinny Testaverde in 86.
In the Fiesta Bowl.
Right.
And that's when Miami showed up in their fatigues.
Oh, man, it was
Penn
awesome.
State, we had to wear our blazers and our ties. We were like Joe Paterno's choir boys,
Were you on that team?
No.
That was
Yeah, I was still in high school. I arrived at Penn State at 1988, and we had a losing season, first losing season in 50 years.
And you, if I remember correctly, then you would have played Florida State in the now defunct Blockbuster Bowl.
Yeah.
Where Terrell Buckley ran 150 yards. He ran completely back down one sideline, turned the corner, then went back the other sideline on a punt return.
Yeah, that was my first year starting. I was starting at guard. And it was neat to see Joe interact with Bobby Bowden. They were friends. Two epic, iconic coaching figures. But yeah, Florida State had a heck of a defense. The Ostrozewski brothers, Kurt Carruthers, Marvin Jones, Sterling Palmer, Dan Footman. I mean,
Sterling Palmer looked identical to Evander Holyfield.
Yeah, you're right.
Didn't you play with him with the Redskins?
He was in my draft class. Yeah.
With the Washington Redskins, yeah. Now the Washington Commanders. This is all fluid, but I'm seeing 1.5s and 2s. Notre Dame favored against Penn State. The total 47.5 points. This game coming up next week. So we're down to the Final Four in college football. But this is going to be absolutely phenomenal. I mean, where I grew up in Boston, there's no college football. Mm-hmm. There's nothing. And I grew in high school, I was there during the Doug Flutie Boston College years.
Right.
But there was always a tiny bit of Notre Dame because of the massive Irish Catholics in Boston, Penn State, and a little bit of Michigan and Ohio State. And here you go. You talk about a ratings bonanza. Notre Dame and Penn State's going to be huge.
It's going to be off the charts. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
I look forward to it. I was hoping, the company I work for, Waste Management, they have a suite there at the Hard Rock Stadium.
Oh, really?
But that's for the Dolphins. That's for the Dolphins. And then they give you the opportunity to buy your suite first right of refusal. So I reached out to my sales guy and I'm like, hey, any chance you guys getting the suite down there for the Orange Bowl? And he's like, yeah, we opted out. They wanted $60,000.
Oh, did they really?
$60,000.
Man, that's big money.
It is.
So that game is in Miami this year.
Yeah, January 9th. Orange Bowl.
That's right.
Check out your Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. January 10th, Friday at 7:30. It'll be Ohio State and Texas. That'll be at Jerry's World in Arlington. Ohio State is a 6-point favorite. And the night prior to that, yes, in Miami Gardens at Hard Rock Stadium, it is going to be Penn State and Notre Dame. So we're down to 4 teams, and this is what it's all about. These games have gotten pretty good as we've moved on. The first round, some people had some problems with it. But, it feels like from afar that unless your team is in it, people are just really having a problem right now with the entire face of college football. It feels like it's broken in so many different situations. And you compare that to the NFL, which just cannot make a mistake. It's literally night and day.
Well, true. I mean, the NFL has done a phenomenal job of, becoming a billion-dollar industry. And they took advantage of when baseball went on strike in the 90s, and they lost that title of America's pastime. Yeah, college football definitely needs to be, restructured, like we discussed earlier in the show concerning the transfer portal. I hate that thing. I mean, that just does not make sense to me because I think you handcuff coaches, because the kid's like, oh, am I getting along here? Or I want to, or like our guy, our second string quarterback is good. He transferred out. So now we don't have the benefit of him as a backup.
You better keep Drew Aller healthy.
Exactly. So there needs to be some transformation. Although I will say this, the 12-team playoffs, that did keep college football more relevant through the entire season.
Yeah.
Right? Because now, your teams are vying for one of those 12 spots, whereas, in the past, it was already pretty much, determined who the top 4 teams were going to be to play in that playoff.
I don't know what they're going to do. And I'm sure, you look at the kid yesterday, Jermaine Smith, a very talented wide receiver. I mean, he'd be a first-round pick if he was coming out of Ohio State this year as a freshman. The way things are going, that's next. The antitrust exemption, all of a sudden they're going to go after that and say you no longer have to wait 3 years. You can do it in baseball. If you go to junior college, you can do it in hockey. You can do it now in college basketball. I would hate to lose these players before 3 years of college football into the NFL. But we've seen everything else change. What's going to actually prevent that from happening?
Yeah, I know. And I've been, removed from college football going, my last year in 92. And, you started seeing players not playing in bowl games.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking to myself, it was my dream to play at Penn State. Paterno didn't have to come to my house and convince me to go to Penn State. I was the second guy to sign.
Right.
And, what we were talking about in my senior year, which was somewhat of a disappointment. We were playing we played in the third Blockbuster Bowl. We played in 2 out of 3 Blockbuster Bowls.
Did you?
We played Stanford. And they were whipping us, and it was like second half. And, well, here comes the second team line. right?
Mm-hmm.
And I waved my guy off.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm not coming out
Right.
during the middle of a series, for one. This is the last time I'm going to wear this uniform. And, you know, after that game, I mean, there's a lot of crying in that locker room because that was your dream. It's now coming to an end. You know, that's just not there. You look at the end, you know, is at Florida and then transfers to a hated rival, Georgia.
Well, yeah, and it doesn't. And, you know, listen, you grew up in, what, Birmingham, right?
I did.
Outside of
I was
Birmingham?
born in New Jersey. My dad took a job in Birmingham in 1976, yeah.
Nick Saban, like him or dislike him, I think he is pretty accurate with what he says, except for he's done this a few times now, and it drives me absolutely insane. I think it's his biggest mistake that he's ever made. He'll talk about the fan that will be sitting in his underwear in his mama's basement, and he gets all pissed at the players and the coaches, and we know that happens, and it's filthy. But then he goes on to say, no one cares more than winning than the players and the coaches. And I'm like, Nick, you are so wrong. Whether it's pro or college, whether it's Jaguar fans or these college fans, the fans care so much more than the players and the coaches, because the players and the coaches, especially nowadays, they just leave. They just pack up and transfer. They pack up and they go somewhere. Where these fans, regardless of how tough it is, every one of these Jaguar fans that text me, Greg, and says, well, if Trent Baalke's still here on Monday, that's it. I'm canceling my season ticket. All right, maybe. But they're still going to be Jaguar fans.
Yeah.
And once he's gone, they'll come back. Or once they start winning, they will come back. I totally disagree with Nick Saban on that.
Yeah, and I'm glad you bring up the fans, because I go out of my way to engage people that, you know, maybe they have Jaguar, you know, paraphernalia on, and just thank them for being the fans, because it's the fans that make the game great.
No doubt.
Without the fans, we would just be playing a game of pickup football.
Yeah.
So I would agree with you. I think the fans are more invested in the idea of having success and winning more so than maybe the players with the monies they make and these coaches.
Someone, I don't know who it was, brought it to my attention a few weeks ago. We saw the flag planting really take off this year. And he was, I forget what school it was. I don't remember the game, but he was like, guys who were getting into it and fighting, it was like 13 of those guys that were out there planting the flag, all transferred. You know, so it's just like, you would think that would be, and by the way, I have no problem with the planting of the flag. I mean, win the game and worry about that other nonsense. It doesn't bother me like it bothers other people, but they're in the moment and they love it and they want to be part of getting into their rival and saying, you know, yada, 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 stick the flag in, you're this, we're number one. And then 3 days later, they transfer to another school.
Yeah, no. The idea of loyalty is going to be far and few between with kids that are choosing which colleges to go to.
Let's wrap it up with Sunday. You know, I hope Jacksonville loses. There's no other way for me to say it. There's nothing they can gain at all by winning outside of maybe some, you know, experience with some younger players and guys that I wanted to see get snaps. Unfortunately, aren't going to play, like Walker Little and Ventrell Miller and guys like that. But what are you looking for?
Again, it's always hard for me to say I'm looking for the team to lose.
As a player, you have a different mentality.
Yeah, I mean, but the one thing, and you mentioned it, that I would like to see, and I saw a little bit in the last game because of injury, is some of these younger linemen getting snaps. Okay, because you know Brandon Scherf, I mean, I think he's got to be at the end at this point. He's
gone.
You know, I hate to say it, just injury prone, but you get older. And you know, the guy that came in and right guard, I thought he did a decent job.
Yeah.
That kind of experience is invaluable for especially linemen. I mean, the linemen are always late in development coming out of college into the pros as compared to other positions. So I'd like to see some of these younger guys, you know, make a name for themselves on the offensive line.
Yeah,
because in my book, that's the first priority. If I'm a coach or a GM, is I'm going to build a good line, just like Coughlin did.
Yeah, well, that's next, and you know all the mocks now have him getting a corner or you know a defensive tackle, and my opinion on this has always been You have the money invested in the quarterback. Make this the best football team you can offensively around the quarterback. They need another wide receiver. They got a star in Brian Thomas Jr.
It's amazing.
But you need it, and I think Parker Washington's going to be a fine number 3 slot. But you need a number 2. It's not Gabe Davis, even though you can't cut him because of financial reasons. And you need a right guard.
You need a right guard.
You absolutely do. Hey, I'm looking here. Ventrell Miller actually limited today, so there's a chance he might play. There's one guy I'd like to see get more reps. He's missed last week's game, and actually his snap count was down the last couple of weeks. But I think he's had a really good, what I would call a rookie season, even though officially it's his second year in the NFL.
Well, I'm glad you brought up, Parker Washington and Brenton Strange. They're Penn State guys.
Yes, they are.
And, I look at it, and, Penn State has traditionally put good, solid players into the pros. Now, I think Brenton got a bad rap his rookie year. First of all, there's a depth issue there.
No doubt.
People in front of him. He gets in. He got a holding call, and I didn't think it was holding. But you're now starting to see what he's capable of. Parker Washington, solid player. He's going to be around. Saquon Barkley.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do I need to say more? I mean,
no.
But Penn State just puts out quality players.
Absolutely, they do. No doubt about that. Hey, we're out of here. Good to have you with us. Tell us what's going on at Waste Management.
Yeah, well, we're always looking to be your waste management service provider.
Right.
And it's simple. It's WM.com/Duval. I'll say it one more time. WM.com/Duval.
There you go. Penn State, Notre Dame next week.
Yes.
Good to see you, Greg Huntington.
Likewise. We got to do the Blue Crab Crab House.
We need to.
Yes.
Our last time there, they threw us out. We had so much fun.
We did.
Thank you to Rafael Esparzo, along with Greg Huntington. For Dylan Denmark, my name is Rick Ballou. I'll be back tomorrow night, 6 till 8. Hacker Nation coming up.